We hold these truths to be self-evident. We are all created equal. We all deserve life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Man, there's a concept for you. The pursuit of happiness as a God-given right. It's an idea so American, Thomas Jefferson even capitalized the H. And ever since, the soundtrack of America's pursuit is driven by the downbeat of progress. Building, growing, bigger, faster, newer, richer. This country's been chasing happiness for 240 years. So I wonder, at what point do we catch it? I wonder, because we are headed to a kingdom of happiness, where that pursuit sounds like this. Where wheels turn no profit, but spread compassion. The last authentic place on earth, some say. But for how long? And when it comes to the pursuit of happiness, what do they know that we don't? My name is Bill Weir, and I'm a storyteller. I've reported from all over the world, and I have seen so much change. So I made a list of the most wonderful places to explore right before they change forever. This is the Wonder List. It is really tempting to start this story with Once Upon a Time, because this is a modern fairy tale, complete with kings and queens and dragons. It takes place in a real-life Shangri-La, where wealth is not measured in gold, but something called gross national happiness. Welcome to Bhutan, a land of 740,000 serene monks and upbeat farmers and dancing archers, living in pristine forests and valleys, hidden from the world for centuries by roadblocks known as the Himalayas. But that was once upon a time. Today, the roads are opening. The world is coming, and all of this is at risk of massive change. Below them, more than 1 billion Indians. Above them, more than 1 billion Chinese. You've heard of the mouse that roared? Well, Bhutan is the mouse that charms. This is Karma, my first contact with a rules and manners society unlike any other.
White in color, silk scarf,
Yes.
symbolizing purity.
Oh, you don't know me very well.
Yes.
You see, Bhutan has only been open to outsiders since the 70s, and they try to be picky about who gets in. To keep a handle on things, all visitors must have a guide like Karma.
You're good.
Now, the first thing I notice is his getup, the handsome raw silk robe known as a go, G-H-O, while the women wear kiras. Now, since it's the king's birthday, I figure I'll get in the spirit. I'll rock the go. But it turns out that this garb is not just for special occasions. This is the national dress code. Bhutan is so protective of its unique culture and pristine nature. Plastic bags are illegal. There is no smoking in the entire country. And for Bhutanese during business hours, jeans and t-shirts are against the law. No go, no go. It is a big day of first for me on the Wonder List. First time on TV without pants, and I'm definitely enjoying the breeze. And it's the first time I've ever attended a king's birthday party. Jigme Singye Wangchuck is turning 60 today. Since he was the 4th of Bhutan's 5 kings, he is better known as K4. And while he soaks up the love in the capital's main stadium, elaborate celebrations like this one are popping off at every corner of the country. Is there anything I should know in terms of greeting people, speaking to people? What are the rules? I want to be respectful.
Yes, when in Bhutan, just use the word la.
La.
La means providing somebody the highest respect possible. We'll say, how are you, la, Bill la?
I'm fine, La Kamala.
Thank you, la. You're welcome, la. So
this is real. You're not punking me here. This is not a prank on tourists.
Absolutely real.
All right, La. Time to mingle, La. La, nice to meet you, La. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you?
We are happier. Up to 10.
You're a 10? What about you? 100?
For me, I'm happier than that. So I could rate 11. It can be 12. It can even go to 20.
Amazing. I'm a 6.5 on a good day. But everyone I meet is a 10, and they all give credit to their king.
He has done so much for the country. Every smile on the faces tells that how much we love our king.
Everyone loves him. We all love him. He's revered like a god here.
Now, if this was, say, North Korea, such moon-eyed affection would be scary and creepy. But here, instead of fear, you feel genuine affection. And which is pretty amazing, considering this guy took the crown, the raven crown and the golden throne, at age 17. But in this version of Game of Thrones, he turned out to be the wisest, kindest, most benevolent monarch anybody could ever wish for. When he was a newly crowned teen on a trip to the UN, a journalist asked, "So, you're the king of a whole country? What's your gross national product?"
He is supposed to have said that I don't necessarily believe in gross national product. I believe in gross national happiness.
He married 4 sisters from the same noble family and raised a handsome brood while raising his country out of crushing poverty. Life expectancy was 46 when he took over. It is now 69. Thanks to better roads and doctors, education, he insisted the new generation learn English. But then his subjects caught wind of a radical plan. K4 wanted to change Bhutan from monarchy to democracy.
When we heard rumors that our fourth king may be introducing democracy, we were all very sad. He traveled across all the 20 districts, talked to people, convinced them, educated them, and said, it's not going to be that bad. It's going to be good.
Yep, most politicians go door to door in search of power. And this guy campaigned to give it away. In a ceremonial gesture, he passed the Raven Crown to one of Asia's most eligible bachelors, his eldest son. K5 then took a gorgeous commoner as his queen, and in another sign of change, made clear that one wife is enough. And then today, huge news, right? K5 announces that they're expecting K6.
Yes. When we heard about it, we were all in tears.
As if they weren't happy enough to begin with. Sanjo was 10 when K4 took power. And he tells me things have progressed so well, his grandkids are destined to have even happier lives. But now that Bhutan is slowly joining the modern world, how long can the fairy tale continue? Centuries ago, when the first outsiders wandered into these mountains in search of medicinal herbs, they heard thunder and naturally assumed the place is infested with dragons. In some remote villages, that belief still holds, but sadly, the only one I could find flies on the national flag. But to truly understand the land of the thunder dragon, I must first understand these flags and the basic tenet of Buddhism. The kinder you are in this life, the happier you'll be in the next life. Now, I'm not a Buddhist. Is it sacrilegious for me to do this?
Not at all. To begin with, you are a compassionate human being.
The flags carry prayers to ease the suffering of all sentient beings, every living thing with feelings, and they are everywhere. Oh, it's touching the ground. Is that okay?
This is okay. This is a clean ground.
Oh, okay. That's a good spot.
Yeah, this is a great spot.
Do we say anything? Do we think
Yeah.
it?
After the prayer flags are done, we say lykkelige.
Lykkelige.
Lykkelige,
What does that
which
mean?
means may the good prevail over the evil.
Okay, you cue me.
Yes. So 1, 2, 3.
Since China swallowed Tibet, Bhutan is the last independent Buddhist kingdom left on Earth. One of the only countries ever to place humility and compassion at the center of their constitution. Scale of 1 to 10, you're what,
At this age, I expect to be somewhere on 7.
You're a 7.
Yes.
That's much lower than you're allowed to say. You're the architect of these ideas.
The aspirational level would be about 8, but I'm on 7.
You're a 7, okay. Dasho Karma is a revered Oxford-trained scholar, historian, and painter, and is essentially Bhutan's cabinet-level minister of gross national happiness. What is your definition of happiness when you talk about gross national happiness? Some people think it's orgasmic stimulation, it's,
Yes.
you know what I mean? Like
Yes,
a
yes.
hedonistic thrill.
Yes, yes.
What is it to you? What does happiness mean?
That kind of thrill which you just mentioned, firstly, cannot be renewed every day.
Not at our age.
And it would also be exhausting because a lot of energy goes into those peak moments. What we mean is really a very stable, positive sense of being. Very stable, positive sense of being.
Every 5 years, his team surveys over 7,000 citizens. Do you like your job? They ask. Are you getting enough sleep? How far is the nearest doctor? Do you have to burn your garbage? How well can you read? Over 120 data points are dissected by the government. They found that women have more responsibilities each day, less chance for education, so men rate happier. Politics makes people sadder, and the new consumer society brings an uptick in frustrated jealousy. But over 90% of Bhutanese are some degree of happy.
Unhappy ones, about 8.8% of our population.
Are unhappy?
Yes.
Well, you're always going to have a few sad sacks, right? But is the goal of the government through policy to drive that number even lower?
Absolutely.
Really?
The purpose of GNH survey is honestly to find out where are those unhappy people.
Around 80 people a year take their own lives in Bhutan, so a government task force is trying to completely eliminate suicide. Now, an American politician might try to cheer everyone with promises of wealth. But in Buddhism, mo money, mo problems. Chasing stuff only leads to suffering, and thus their heroes own nothing. Exhibit A, the first enlightened traffic jam I've ever seen. They pulled over to see Bhutan's holiest men walk silently by, an annual monk migration to their winter home over the mountains. It's a 3-day journey by foot. For a while, they used automobiles until the chief abbot decided that the monks were getting a bit out of shape. So they are back to doing it by foot. This is their destination, Punakha Dzong, the palace of great happiness. You can hear the cooing of the pigeons, maybe the footsteps of a monk, but other than that, nothing. For centuries, it was their Vatican, their White House, their war fortress combined. These stairs are so steep because when the Tibetans would come to do battle in the 1600s, the fighting monks here could pull up the stairs behind them, shoot down at them. But for the last 300 years, while all the other quaint kingdoms were conquered and colonized, Bhutan was left alone to find their own way, to stroll down Buddhism's middle path. Not too rich, not too poor. But can a country built on moderation survive the iPhone age? Well, the llama on the phone thinks so. It's something people get addicted to, he tells me. My remedy would be to use the good side and don't get addicted. Follow the middle path. Easy sounding advice if you live in a monastery. But what about everyone else out here? Every kid in Bhutan knows the story of the 4 friends. There's the bird who plants the seed and the rabbit who waters it. The monkey is in charge of fertilizer, and the elephant stands guard until all 4 can build a pyramid to pick the fruit of their collective labor. I have to get the 4 friends. Oh, this is beautiful. I have to take this one. I have a little girl. She's going to love this story. The 4 friends are a lovely symbol of the social and environmental harmony of Bhutan. And the man who carved this one, he is a symbol of happiness at work. His name is Pema. And while cerebral palsy took the use of his arms, it could not take his will to create.
It takes him about 3 days to complete a carving like this.
3 days. His craftsmanship may be extraordinary, but his work ethic, typical. See, for 1,000 years or so, this was a day's labor in Bhutan. And for thousands of farmers in remote valleys, it still is.
We need 10 to 20 people to dig the field. It takes almost 1 week to complete one field.
Oh my goodness. Wow. So this is your barn?
Yeah.
You keep chickens, cows?
Before you used to keep horses.
You are true organic farmers. So let me ask you, scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you?
We are always 10.
You're always a 10?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Come on, there's got to be days where you're like a 7.
But comparing to, the olden days, now we have, because of, the development of the country.
This is a light bulb moment for me. This is when I realized that they live in a sweet spot my grandparents used to describe. A time when life was so hard, one newfangled machine could change your life for the better. These are amazing stairs.
Yes, yes.
You climb this. How many times a day do you do this climb?
Minimum twice.
Sonam's farmhouse is a perfect example, where turnip leaves dry in one corner and her gods reside in the other. All these carvings, all of this work is
From the time the house was built.
from 130 years old?
Yes, yes.
Oh, that's beautiful. Very peaceful. But they also have electricity now. A rice cooker next to the wood fire in the kitchen. And the old water tank is thankfully obsolete. But now you have plumbing, you have
Yes,
pipes?
yes, yes.
Yeah. That's easier. Coming up those stairs with a bucket of water? My
Yes,
goodness. And while they used to just work, eat, sleep, and repeat, now they have this amazing thing called spare time. You watch a lot of television?
Yes, and now we have internet also. So
Yeah.
it is easier for people to do everything through internet.
Yeah. You were asking me about the American election.
Yes.
You know all about Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump.
Yes. I watch every morning.
Bhutan didn't get television until 1999, and it blew their minds.
We are a landlocked country, and we don't have oceans here. Just to see ocean, the bigness of it on the television for the first time, the marine life that existed for the first time, and even to see on the television that there existed black people, Africa, people in Africa.
Wow, you had
all
no
those
idea.
were not known to Bhutanese people. The television educated you, and suddenly you feel that you are not alone.
But as we know so well, this box is a double-edged sword.
For a Buddhist society, where we talk about compassion, being gentle, peace, the most popular television channel became this world wrestling entertainment.
Really?
Kids just suddenly hear
I'm
big-
sorry.
Yes, yes, yes.
Dasho Kinley is Bhutan's Minister of Information.
My 4-year-old son One morning he just came, jumped on me, and he's shouting, rock versus Triple H, rock versus Triple H. I didn't know what it was initially, but now it's the most popular channel.
You have explained to him it's fake, right? They're all actors?
We tried. We tried.
And here's the rub. Those new machines mean more and more kids can leave the farm to get an education. But there aren't enough good jobs. So there's a lot of sitting around, watching TV. Youth unemployment is a huge problem. Drug use is starting to creep in, and it seems like a matter of time before unhappiness finds a voice, before chants of compassion turn into raps of rage. This is Kazang, who found his calling the second he heard Eminem.
Eminem, which song?
Lose Yourself.
Lose Yourself, great song.
So it was like, love at first sight, and after that, there's been no looking back.
But while Eminem is fueled by pent-up rage, Kazang just wants to make a few polite suggestions.
The song that I'm going to perform today is called Kokap, which means a chance. This song is actually...
A chance?
Yes, it means give me a chance.
Could you ever write a rap of, coming out against the royal family in any way?
Never in my life, not in my dream.
No, you wouldn't even think of that.
I don't think anyone would.
And you're a Buddhist, so you can't really rap about wanting money and women, right?
And I'm also a vegetarian.
Of course! Of course you are.
Same story in the burgeoning film industry, where there's no such thing as an R rating, or even a PG.
We have a censor board. if you come up with sex and alcohol and all, they'll be like, no, you can't screen that.
Tandine is the Jennifer Lawrence of Bhutan, and she takes her role as role model very seriously.
So are you allowed to kiss on camera?
Not so far.
Really?
Yeah.
No kissing?
Unluckily. No kissing. Maybe on the cheek, but yeah.
That's so adorable.
Our youths are very innocent right now. And then if you do something like this, they'll think that, oh, that's cool, she's doing that. Maybe I should try that. So we don't want to do that.
Feels like I time traveled back to the 50s. But how long can it possibly last like this? How long before shootouts and superheroes replace the four friends? To understand why this kingdom remains so isolated for so long, one simply has to go for a drive. A 10-minute journey by helicopter takes 10 hours by car. 10 knuckle-whitening hours past shrines to the dead and festooned trucks bringing goods in from India and road signs tinged with that Bhutanese sense of humor. For the folks who live up here, tires on blacktop are a curious luxury. People get by on foot or hoof, which is fine, because in Bhutan, a walk in the woods is like going to church.
So we believe in a lot of things that, for example, a tree is where spirit resides, a rock is where spirit resides.
So the idea of cutting down a tree to sell it, totally foreign to the people here.
Definitely.
Bhutan is half the size of Indiana, 2/3 of it covered by pristine forest, and their constitution insists it must stay this way forever. A belief system that makes for some really interesting infrastructure.
This is incredible. In a lot of places, if you wanted a bridge, if the local citizens told the government, we need a bridge, it would be a big 4-lane, you could drive trucks across it, but I guess this is all the folks here need?
Yes, this is all we need. You can even take horses over this, cattle over this, yes.
Really? They take their cows over this?
Yes, and people ride motorbikes, mountain bikes over this. So it's very cool. And people also come and erect prayer flags here. And it's special because it is also built over the Mail River.
Right. So this is the Mail River because it's got rapids and it's rough?
Yes, and very good for rafting.
And the female river is more serene?
On the other side of the river.
If water is the new oil, Bhutan is rich beyond measure. Himalayan snowmelt and monsoon rains not only waters their people, crops, and animals, it literally powers the nation. Thanks to massive tunnels and turbines, artfully hidden under the mountains.
First, I have to say, this is the most beautiful power plant I've ever seen.
We ensure that whatever we try to actually take from the nature, we have the god and goddesses.
You need the gods on your side,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Yeshi helps run one of the 5 hydroelectric plants in Bhutan, all designed to have the lowest possible impact. Instead of destructive dams and reservoirs, they use a method that lets part of the river flow while water and gravity create clean electricity.
It's interesting, you know, in the United States, if a power plant pollutes, they run the risk of a government fine or the public being angry. You believe that if you pollute, it'll affect you in the next life.
Yes,
right?
yes. So you see, our socio-economic development is very much linked with our spiritual aspects of life.
That attitude is a big reason Bhutan is considered the only country on the planet which absorbs more carbon than it burns. 3 times more. 70% of their surplus energy is sold to India, and they're only tapping 5% of the potential clean power in these mountains. Since roads are spreading fast, why not build more? Why not cash in? No better person to ask than the Prime Minister of Bhutan.
So, I have to catch my breath to even come up with a question.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can ask myself the question.
Yeah.
Like his kings, Sering Tabge is happiest on a mountain bike.
What's the biggest amount of money you've said no to out of the interest of keeping Bhutan, Bhutan? Have there been giant projects or investors who had wanted to come in and do things that you just weren't comfortable with?
Giants have not really felt welcome to begin with.
Oh, okay.
But then there have been industries, polluting industries. So for instance, anything that requires bleach, like paper, or some mineral-based industries that use up a lot of our clean hydropower and generate a lot of toxic gases.
Yeah.
Those sort of industries we've had to say no to. The challenge is basically to stay on this narrow path and not be distracted by easy returns.
But it'll be tough to hold that line in the face of high unemployment and a changing climate. Shrinking glaciers will mean a future with less water, less power, and more temptation to sell off this forest. And after K4 kicked out over 100,000 ethnic Nepalese in the 90s, immigration is a thorny problem.
Even as we speak, we have people who may be attempting to come into Bhutan illegally and stay here illegally and then try to become Bhutanese illegally.
But more than anywhere else, it seems that they are safe from the immediate, destructive power of greed. Thanks to magical thinking. Belief protects nature in this place. Belief that every plant is sacred, every rock is special. And if you roll one downhill for no good reason, a very specific punishment awaits you in the next life.
The rock will be tied to your testicles, and then you are made to pull it up.
In the happy mountain kingdom, perched above the capital, is a new line of serene, golden smiles.
These are dakinis, sort of the angels of the Buddhist world, sent down to shower blessings on the faithful. There's dozens up here, framing the Himalayas, which would be attractive enough, but they're just a supporting cast for the big man. Look at this. One of the biggest sitting Buddha in the world, and it is brand new. You can still smell the paint, which contains real gold dust. It is a $100 million project paid for by devout Buddhists, rich and poor from around Asia. Now, a cynical capitalist would look at this and say, wow, what a brilliant tourist attraction. But for the devout, this is the culmination of a 1,200-year-old prophecy. No matter what you believe, it is definitely proof that Bhutan has arrived.
When K4 first opened his land in the mid-70s, they were lucky to get a few hundred tourists a year. Now it is over 130,000, most of them jammed into 4 summer months, putting Bhutan at a crossroads. How do they sell their country without selling their souls?
A young king, K4, when he was barely 17, 18, He coined the tourism policy for the Kingdom of Bhutan as high value, low volume.
In the years since, they've watched China turn Tibet's Buddhist temples into destinations for the masses, while Nepal's royals next door have let climbers and backpackers trash that corner of the Himalayas.
Bhutan, it's fascinating. Marijuana grows wild on the streets, and it's called pig food. They give it to calm the sows when they're giving birth. I mean, could you imagine if they were to open the floodgates to the backpackers, they'd be here in their thousands. Bhutan doesn't need that.
Bill has been guiding here for 30 years, part of a system unlike any other in tourism. You see, with the exception of their closest allies from India and Bangladesh, everyone must pay a tariff of $250 a day before they even arrive. Now, this includes food and ground transportation, a guide like Karma, and a 3-star hotel. For those willing to pay more, there are 5-star palaces like the gorgeous Zuiling. More modern, swanky, foreign-owned hotels are under construction. And more people like Sangay are moving from a quaint barter economy into the service sector, figuring out how to wait on very different people with very different wants and needs.
In the restaurant business, you learn a great tolerance, your patience, and it's actually a very challenging job. We have to be able to compete with the other business. So competition is one of the biggest challenges in this business.
Now, competition and Buddhism don't exactly mix. This used to be the king's problem. But now it is up to Sering, the beginner prime minister on the bike, running a starter democracy where many still aren't sold on the concept.
None of us thought it was a good idea.
Really?
I think, except for our king. And many of us still have our doubts.
I was talking to some of the folks who did the more recent happiness survey.
Yeah.
And they said that while people's lives are measurably better, they express more dissatisfaction with the political process.
I would agree with them.
Yeah? Is that
100%. I think we politicians can't be trusted, right? I mean, especially once we get a taste of power.
Yeah.
And then we get seduced by adulation. Then we don't want to let go. And in order not to let go, we could really take our country down through some unsavory paths.
Right.
So yes, I can understand the feelings of our people.
Each new investor brings new pressure to open wider, loosen the rules, and let people finally explore the highest unclimbed mountains in the world, long forbidden here as holy ground.
If you open these peaks up to trekkers and climbers,
I'm out of here.
It would be a huge boon.
But we are not going to be happy. I think all of us would want to move out.
Really?
And if tourists are going to just descend on us, and it's going to be difficult to find ourselves, I mean, who would want to live here?
And so they vow to cater only to the right kind of tourists. The kind with respect and compassion. The kind who won't demand a tram ride to the most popular attraction in the country, known as the Tiger's Nest.
How did they do that? How did they build this?
It's impossible by human energy. There has to be divine powers here to help build that.
It is a 300-year-old monastery built on the spot where a famous guru once landed on the back of a flying tiger. The less holy, we don't get a flying tiger. We have to walk.
I know how you feel, Pooch.
Yeah.
Oh, we should spin the wheel, right?
Yes, sir. We spin it about clockwise, about 3 times. We are supposed to gain lots of merit in this life as well as in our next life.
Energy? Does it give you energy?
Lots of energy in the present life.
Back pain?
Okay,
does it take away back pain?
It does. It's a therapy in itself. And this is the last turn.
Okay. Spinning our good vibes into the universe. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
This is going to sound cheesy and maybe a cliche, but Everybody I meet on this trail is so happy.
Yes, we believe in Bhutan. The higher we go, you're closer to the gods, and the happier you are.
I'm happy because the ground has leveled off.
Yes, this is just about a few minutes.
We're getting close,
and then
right?
We have to climb up a little bit, and we are getting very close now.
This has got to be it. Oh, amazing. What? How the hell did they do that?
Our 2-hour vertical hike is finally rewarded with the first good look at the tiger's nest. Though one more steep ravine stands between us and one of the most sacred spots in Buddhism, one of the most impressive structures in architecture.
Oh, look at this.
It's one of the largest waterfalls in Bhutan.
Yes, it's magnificent. Oh, I want to get in it.
Yeah, it's holy water.
For over 300 years, these 500 steps have carried the faithful to a peaceful spot like no other. We are greeted by a fluttering prayer flag, a gorgeous view, and a friendly pooch.
I'm telling you, in the next life, I want to come back as a Bhutanese dog.
Yes, yes. We believe that the dog's next in line of life is a human.
Is that right?
So that is why the Bhutanese people are nice to dogs.
That's why he's hanging out up here. He wants
right.
to.
Yes.
Good job. Good wife.
Right.
So, holy space, no cameras inside here, huh?
Yes. There are lots of people in meditation and retreat, and we don't want to be disturbing them.
Inside is a maze of little temples and shrines. The smell of wax, the sound of monks chanting away the suffering that comes with being alive. Science has proven that regardless of faith, daily meditation literally rewires the brain. It lowers stress and anxiety, boosts creativity and focus. But when it comes to GNH, gross national happiness, mental health is just one ingredient. There's also clean environment, no corruption, and the strongest possible community, bound by faith and culture.
It's easy to set up policy for a small country of very similar people.
Yes.
But would this work in America, where there are a few Buddhists, but there's also Catholics and Baptists, and there's atheists, and they don't like to be told what to wear or how to use their land? You know what I mean?
Yes, yes. GNH is neutral to faith.
So Buddhism isn't a key of this?
No, it is. It can be practiced across all borders. We can look at countries, but countries are composed of smaller units. There you compose of mayors, municipalities,
neighborhoods,
and in that unit, GNH is understood instantaneously.
So maybe we don't need a benevolent king to build our own little Bhutans on our blocks or in our boardrooms. Maybe we can pause the pursuit of happiness long enough to appreciate what we already have. Measure more of our wealth in family and community. Take more walks in the woods, and every now and then, do nothing more than breathe. And as the world spins madly on, know that somewhere out there is still a place like Bhutan. May they live happily ever after.